Welcome to Dead Man Talking. Tonight's show is a great example of when things need clearing up. Who does that job? When things get messy, beyond the powers of the local police force and even the army itself. A specialist crew has to be called in to take care of things. I think you guys are going to enjoy this story. I hope you do. Of course, please do let me know down below in the comments. Of course, please do like and share. Without further ado, let's get into tonight's story, entitled Pack Mentality. Let's get straight into that. First of all, I would like you to appreciate how much red tape I had to go through to be able to recount this operation to you. It took an awful long time and a breach, the culprit of which is still unknown, for the higher-ups to accept the part of the public knowing about us, that it wouldn't topple civilization as we know it. Plus, some good could come from people not trying to investigate these things and interrupt an op. Even then, I had to let them edit the content to make sure it didn't contain sensitive information. We are a specialist operations response team unit. We responded to threats that the public believe are myths. There are multiple teams like us on every continent, as well as a few that operate in international waters. There are, of course, other ancient orders and newer organizations that are also dedicated to stomping out the supernatural, but we're the professionals. I have been authorized to share one story from each of the regions we work in. As I am with one of the North American teams, there will be a story from the United States, Canada, and Mexico. The focus of this first encounter is a werewolf hunt in the States. Now, before I continue, you must understand werewolves and how we deal with them. First of all, werewolf means man-wolf. Its older variant, lycanthrope, means wolf-man. This is important because many people attribute things to werewolves that they don't have. If a human or a wolf doesn't have it, a werewolf won't either. For example, werewolves don't have night vision like NVGs provide. Instead, during the transformation, they gain a tapetum lucidum in each eye. This is a reflective receptor that allows them to have better night vision by letting them receive the same light twice. This is what makes certain animals' eyes glow in the dark, of course, including, you guessed it, wolves. Werewolves gain more muscle mass during the transition as well, as making them extremely tall. Usually they stand at 7 or 9 feet tall. Large claws, much sharper than normal wolves, as they haven't been dulled by constant contact with the ground. A normal wolf can run 35 miles per hour at the fastest. With the higher muscle mass and longer form, werewolves can get to around 55. Obviously, they don't always travel this fast, as if they ran into a tree going at 60, they'd break their neck. But in the open, they fly at you like a freight train. There are two ways to become a lycanthrope. Either you receive a non-fatal bite, or you are a child of a werewolf. The usual image that comes to mind when you hear werewolf is a single large wolf man with the full moon at its back. The problem with that image is that for the most part, werewolves are usually in a pack. There are, of course, lone wolves. These we usually leave to other hunters or orders, but we always have an eye on them. In the event we need to eliminate a lone wolf, we don't go hunting in the woods while the werewolf is still in a strong state. Instead, we watch. We use our quad drone equipped with night vision and thermals to follow it until the end of the night. Once the creature transforms back into human form, an operative is inserted nearby. For the most part, The people are in a confused state and will start to stumble home. The operative deployed is always our least threatening member, currently me, as this will set off less red flags if the operative is spotted. The next step is getting behind the person with a clear line of sight and using our P-22.6s to put a single round through the back of the head. Quick and efficient, that is how we operate. There are, of course, some people who find this method disgusting because they feel we are just killing a person. But really, it's no different than hunting them in their enhanced form, just easier. In the event of a pack, we suit up. No time to rely on any single hunter because they'll just be torn to shreds, especially if they are expecting a single werewolf, not 6. We gear up with assault rifles and carbines loaded with silver bullets and extra mags. Our sidearms are loaded with silver hollow point rounds in the event we need to use them up close for maximum damage. It was one of these hunts that brought us to the Rocky Mountain National Park. It was dark in the back of the van. No one had spoken hours as we all sat, lost in thought. The ride was anything but comfortable. The long transportation van wasn't suited for these small mountain roads. "Tom?" I turned to face Captain, as I heard my call sign. "Yes, sir," I asked. "Go over the briefing again." The boss always liked to hear our intel twice, partially to make sure that he remembered it all so he could formulate any alterations to our plan, and partially in case a member of the team was distracted during our regular briefing. As you all know, we are here to eliminate a pack of werewolves slaughtering hikers as well as residents of a nearby town. Be warned, this is not a normal hunt. These werewolves didn't link up through the normal means like instincts. They were gathered here, and they know what they are. I started. Mountain put his hand up. "Who gathered them here?" I didn't think any wolves remembered anything after changing back. I mentally sighed. Mountain, obviously, was among those who were distracted. "The pack's male alpha. He is part of a very rare breed of werewolf who keeps some of his human intelligence after the change as well as keeping his memory of anything he does while changed. This trait occurs in extremely cunning humans, so we have to be extra careful here. He has been gathering all werewolves he can find in human form and getting them to join his camp. They're set up in tents with very few other items so that they can move forward from place to place quickly, which is why we can't attack when they're human. It's a total of 6 wolves, the alpha male, the alpha female, a massive black werewolf, and 4 other run-of-the-mill wolves. They believe that they are superior to humans and kill any that they contact, whether in werewolf form or human. We insert at Lake Redacted and make our way to Mount Redacted, I explained. Soon the van came to a halt and we opened the sliding door. The unit quickly exited the vehicle and formed up around the boss. We switched to our infrared laser sights and undetectable by the werewolves and put on our MVGs. Everyone had to carry a rig and ceramic plates to protect from tooth and claw. As our unit moved towards the hunting grounds, the forest surrounded us. It was deathly quiet. More quiet than a forest should be. Not a single cricket chirping. The air was crisp and held more tension than drawn bowstring. The forest almost looked like more threatening than the dark green hue of our MVGs. Laser sights danced from tree trunk to tree trunk as our unit walked in a wedge formation, a V of geese flying into a hunter's sight. Soon enough, we reached a large clearing. Peering between the trees, you could see a few other smaller clearings almost connected to this one. The boss motioned for everyone to stop. I clutched my HK-416 and readied for the worst. After an agonising 5 minutes passed, we decided if anything was coming, it would have happened already. Seeing as werewolves aren't ambush predators, we were dead wrong. As we came to the middle of the clearing, 4 of our operatives called out reflective eyes at the same time. 4 eyes glowed in the full moon, one from each of the smaller clearings that surrounded the one that we were in. Our escape cut off by 2 more in the front, a massive black werewolf about 10 feet tall and a smaller one about 7. Even though the black one bore the scars of many fights, I felt much more uneasy about the small one. There was a light in it. You could see, even through the NVGs, that sent chills down your spine. A glimmer of humanity. That's when I realised what trouble we were in. Remember when I said that in the open a werewolf can get close to 60 miles per hour? We had been outmanoeuvred and our job was about to get hard. From my place in formation, I could see a shape barreling towards me like a car on a highway. I centred my laser sight on where I thought the beast's left shoulder was and fired 6 rounds. They tore through the creature's collarbone and into its heart. It was dead the second the silver went through its organs. The problem with this was I had a huge corpse hurtling towards the unit. "Out of the way!" I yelled into my comms. I stepped out the way just in time to narrowly avoid the bag of meat that would have flattened me. I watched it continue as time seemed to slow, and I took on a few things at the same time. First to get out of the way, Razor had dove to the ground just in time to save himself from another werewolf jumping at him. It descended as he unloaded his mag into its midsection. It was undoubtedly dead, but its momentum carried its final swipe into Razor's chest. The ceramic plate shattered like a vase, and the claws put 3 long gouges into Razor's upper body. "Doc! Doc!" someone yelled as soon as blood burst out of the wounds. Doc was on him in a moment, trying his best to bandage him up and get him stabilised. While this was going on, the boss had dispatched one of the other runners before he even got close and was moving to cover Razor. Meanwhile, Click had his DMR ready to take out one of the alphas when the last regular werewolf smashed into him and flung him into the air. The werewolf had uppercutted him with its claws and his head was almost completely separated. There was no time to mourn Click right now. Mountain turned and instantly put a quick burst from his G36C into the skull. The creature dropped where it stood. Now there only remained the alphas. The boss thought fast and had Doc and Prowler stay with Razor while the rest of us opened fire on the alphas. I don't think they expected their plan to fail so quickly because they were still standing still when the first shots hit. Full auto from 4 assault rifles with silver rounds quickly made their retreat as fast as possible into the woods. Honestly, the tracking was too easy. All we had to do was follow the blood splatters through the woods. Still, it took hours to finally get to them. Rays of light from sunrise had been peeking out through the tree cover. We took our NVGs and arrived at a small clearing. 5 tents around a campfire. It would have looked like a regular campsite had it not been for the human remains scattered about. In front of the largest tent kneeled the figures over a small bundle. The alphas didn't look nearly as threatening when they were 2 humans, under 6 feet tall and riddled with bullet holes. "I got it," I said. I unholstered my SIG, and as I approached the woman, an Asian woman with jet black hair reached out her hand and said, "Please," before I fired 1 round into her skull. The hollow point did its job, and the back half of her head exploded like a watermelon. I turned to the man. "Do what you will with me. Just spare my..." was all he got out before meeting the same fate as his mate. With this done, all that was left was the hard choice. What to do with this baby? As mentioned in the background, one way to become a werewolf is to be born into it. Being the son of 2 alphas meant that this pup would certainly be a fearsome creature that would take many, many lives. So, was it more moral to kill a baby or for wait for it to commit its atrocities before putting it down? And if it was more moral to kill a baby, did I have the stomach for it? I decided that I had the stomach to leave a baby in the wilderness, but not put a bullet in it. There was always a chance that a passing hiker would stumble upon the remains of a camp with a baby lying in its parents' blood and rescue it. Seeing as we had injured and dead, HQ thought it was reasonable to exfile us by chopper. Razor survived his injuries but was not able to continue working in the unit, and Click was given a proper burial with full honours. The story was that he was an Army Ranger that lost his life in Afghanistan. I would have felt worse about the lie if it didn't come with a big government cheque every month for his family. Now, all we had to do was recruit 2 more operatives before our next assignment. I hope you all enjoyed the recount of how we operate with werewolves and the inherent dangers of the job. Next, I will be describing our op in Canada while working with the North American Diver Team, one of the other units I mentioned earlier. We track down and fight an Aklat. Feel free to ask any questions about this mission, others, or the unit itself. I will provide what I'm authorised to. Wow. Hope you guys enjoyed that story. Absolutely thrilling read. Please do, of course, let me know down below in the comments. Please do like and share. And of course, guys, if you haven't subscribed to DMT, please hit that subscribe button. Your support is really, really welcomed, and I really do appreciate it. Big thank you to everyone that's subscribed and liked and shared in the last week. I've seen that there's been a huge boost in likes and shares. Thank you for that, guys. Have a lovely weekend. And remember, as ever, be safe, not sorry.